Your jaw is locked. It's been locked for 20 minutes. A tight, pulsing knot of muscle that you're barely even aware of anymore. Across from you, someone is talking, maybe a partner, boss, a parent, and their voice has become a dull, irritating hum behind the sudden ringing in your ears. You smile, you nod, you say the words they want to hear. It's fine, I'm not upset, let's just move on. But as the words leave your lips, you feel a cold, heavy weight sink into the pit of your stomach. You think you've won. You think you controlled the situation by burying the fire, but the fire didn't go out. It just went underground. This is the birth of the silent volcano. In the world of psychology, we call this repressed anger. It isn't the loud, glass-shattering fury we see in movies. It is far more dangerous. It is the anger that stays. It's the quiet, simmering energy that you've politely ignored for years, believing it was a sign of maturity or self-control. But here is the truth that your body already knows. Anger is a biological mandate. It is a signal. And when you cut off the signal, you don't stop the message. You just ensure that it has to find a more destructive way to get your attention. This is the silent volcano. Psychologists estimate that nearly 1/3 of all adults habitually suppress their anger rather than expressing it. For many of us, this started long before we had the words to describe it. We were the good kids. We were told that anger was rude, that it was scary, or that it would make people stop loving us. So, like any intelligent system under threat, our minds adapted. We learned to hide the fire. We learned to swallow the heat until we forgot it was even there. But buried emotions do not die. They are buried alive. Think of anger as a form of pure, raw energy. According to the frustration-aggression hypothesis, when our goals are blocked or our boundaries are violated, the brain naturally generates a surge of energy, designed to help us rectify the situation. It's an evolutionary tool for survival. When you repress that energy, you are essentially trying to hold a lid on a boiling pot without turning off the stove. You might keep the lid on for a while, but the pressure doesn't vanish. It circulates. It seeks out the cracks in your armor. This is where repressed anger becomes insidious. Because the energy is too powerful to be completely silenced, it transforms, it shifts its shape. It hides behind other, more acceptable emotions. You might think you're just feeling a wave of inexplicable sadness. You might label it as burnout or chronic fatigue. You might call it anxiety. But beneath the surface, if you look closely, you'll find the cold embers of a rage that was never allowed to speak. Psychologists call this displaced emotion. Since the anger cannot go toward the person who triggered it, flows inward, turning into self-criticism, or outward, leaking into sarcasm, passive aggression, and unexplained mood swings. Have you ever found yourself snapping at someone over something trivial? Perhaps a partner left a dish in the sink, or a stranger cut you off in traffic. Suddenly you felt a surge of vitriol that seemed entirely disproportionate to the event. That wasn't about the dish, it wasn't about the car. That was the volcano venting. When we repress anger, we stack bricks in a wall between our authentic selves and the world. Every time we say it's okay when it isn't, we add another brick. Eventually, the wall gets so high that we lose sight of what we actually need. Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, spoke extensively about the shadow. He believed that the parts of ourselves we reject, the anger, the selfishness, don't simply disappear. They form a shadow self. This shadow isn't evil, but it is unintegrated. When your anger lives in the shadow, it begins to write the script of your life without your permission. It influences the partners you choose, the jobs you tolerate, and the way you treat yourself in the mirror. It becomes a silent saboteur, making you feel off or restless in even your happiest moments. The toll of this silence isn't just psychological, it is deeply, vibrantly physical. Your body is a finely tuned instrument that cannot lie. When you chronically suppress anger, your nervous system remains in a state of low-grade fight or flight. Your cortisol levels stay elevated. Your heart rate variability drops. Research shows that people who habitually repress anger are at a significantly higher risk for cardiovascular disease, immune system dysregulation, and chronic pain conditions like migraines or tension headaches. You are quite literally burning yourself from the inside out to maintain a mask of calm. But why do we do it? For many, it's a phenomenon called empathic overextension. You might be someone who is highly attuned to the feelings of others. You prioritize harmony above all else. You avoid conflict because you fear rocking the boat or hurting someone's feelings. On the surface, this looks like compassion, but underneath, it is often a survival mechanism. You've learned that your needs are secondary. You've become an emotional caretaker, silencing your own fire to keep everyone else warm. The irony is that by trying to save your relationships through silence, you are actually destroying them. Repressed anger creates a subtle, invisible barrier. People can sense the tension beneath a polite smile. How can anyone truly know you if they aren't allowed to see your boundaries? How can you have true intimacy with someone when there is a massive, unspoken rage sitting in the room? So, how do we dismantle the volcano? It begins with a fundamental shift in how we perceive anger. We have to stop viewing anger as a moral failure. Anger is not bad. It is information. It is a pulse. It is a whisper from the deepest part of your psyche telling you a boundary was crossed. When you feel that familiar tension rising, that heat in your chest, don't push it down. Pause. Treat the feeling with curiosity instead of judgment. Ask it, what are you trying to tell me? What need am I denying? This simple act of acknowledgement begins to integrate the energy. Naming the anger to yourself, giving it a voice in your mind, is enough to stop it from becoming a shadow. Think about the bricks in that wall we talked about. Each brick tells a story. One brick is the time you didn't ask for a raise. Another is letting a friend disrespect you. When you start looking at these bricks, they stop being barriers and start being a map. Integration is the work of becoming whole. It is about realizing you can be both kind and firm. When anger is integrated, it transforms into clarity. It becomes the energy you use to say no when you mean no. Fuel for your creativity and self-advocacy. It is no longer a destructive explosion. It is the steady, controlled flame that powers your authenticity. Imagine a life where you don't have to monitor your internal pressure gauges constantly. Imagine waking up without that phantom weight in your chest. When you stop fearing your anger, you stop being controlled by it. You start to move through the world with a new kind of presence, a grace with an edge. The next time you catch yourself nodding while your jaw is clenched, remember the volcano. Remember that the silence you're practicing isn't free. It's a loan with a massive interest rate your health will pay. Anger isn't the enemy. It is the guardian of your self-respect. It is the voice of your own authenticity, calling you back to yourself. Listen to the whisper before it has to become a roar. Reclaim your fire, understand its mechanics, and let it light the way to a version of you that is finally, completely, and unapologetically free. Because in the end, acknowledging repressed anger isn't about losing control. It's about gaining connection with ourselves and our world.